So today is Trinity Sunday, and there are many things we could think about on Trinity Sunday. But I want today to think about something, in a sense, in reverse, to think about what the doctrine of the Trinity says about us, we who are made in his image. Something that I'm particularly aware of at the moment, that in a sense I think we all are. The lockdown and the issue of community that it's raised. Because during the lockdown, we've all lived these last few months suffering a lack of human contact. That some of us have lived in complete isolation, all by ourselves, alone in a house. Some of us have lived with just one other person. Some of us maybe have continued to go to work, but even those who are going to work aren't mixing in their normal social circles, aren't mixing in their normal family circles. We've all experienced a lack of human contact. I've experienced it, and I know from my many phone calls with different parishioners that you've experienced that too. And the point I want to make is twofold. That first, this experience of a lack of human contact has shown us just how important human contact is, how necessary it is for us as human beings. That we as humans are built for community. We are made for love. As it says in the book of Genesis at the very beginning, it was not good for man to be alone. So yes, there are hermits alone in their caves. There are celibates like myself, consecrated in the single life. But these in the church's tradition are always seen as exceptions to the norm. Exceptions that in a sense manifest how normal the norm is. That they always exist as a sacrifice to serve the wider community. A sacrifice because what's normal to human existence is being in community. That man was made for human contact, made for community. So that's my first point, that this lockdown has shown us just how much human contact is natural to us, needed by us. Now my second point to you today, Trinity Sunday, is that this need for contact actually tells us something about the nature of God himself. Because the Bible tells us man is made in the image of God. So let's think about the triune God. So he is not alone. He always exists as three persons. Our faith teaches us about Jesus Christ, the one eternal Word of the Father, the eternal Son of the Father. It tells us of him that there was never a time when he was not, never a time when the Son began, a time when the Son didn't exist. And likewise with the Holy Spirit, the three of them always from all eternity existing together. That these three persons exist in an eternal relationship of love, such that God can never be alone in himself, can never be lonely. That each of those persons is always in relationship and always has been in relationship. And we are made in that image. And our lockdown experience of needing human contact is in reality just a taste of how deeply the triune community image is embedded in our nature. So maybe the lockdown, difficult as this experience has been, maybe one of its lasting gifts to us can be a renewed, rediscovered sense of community. And we need to rediscover that. We know that the society we live in the midst of has become increasingly individualistic in recent decades, but even recent centuries. There's a philosophical trend behind what we've witnessed in family breakdown, in the atomization of the individual, this increasingly individual world, where people think and behave as if the community didn't matter, as if the other didn't matter. And the lockdown, rather brutally, has taught us the opposite. Actually, we need the other. We need the community. And actually, even in the midst of the lockdown, there's been this wonderful manifestation of community spirit, of people getting groceries for their vulnerable neighbours, people getting groceries for neighbours they didn't even know the names of before, and people being willing to, we all know that the lockdown is easing now, but at its height, people being willing to endure restrictions for the sake of others, for the sake of the common good. Now, to bring this to a conclusion, when the lockdown fully lifts, the risk is that we go back to being as we were before. So let us as Christians resolve that that won't be true of us, that we will have rediscovered community. And that specifically on this Trinity Sunday, resolve, accept this as a little glimpse of the image of God, the image of the Trinity within us.